hate traveling. I especially hate traveling for work, but nothing could have prepared me for what happened on a trip that was supposed to last 3 days. A trip to a town everyone called beautiful. A trip where I brought my wife along, just to make the best of a bad situation. By the end of it, we left everything behind. Bags half packed, doors wide open behind us. And to this day, there is one thing from that house we never found again. Stay with me, because this one is true. It was about a year ago. Work sent me to a small town, only 3 hours from home. Close enough that I thought, why not bring her? She hates it when I travel without her. So this felt like the perfect compromise. I'd work during the day, she'd explore, hike, shop, relax. And every evening, we'd have the whole town to ourselves. We found a rental, small, cozy, secluded, not completely isolated. There were neighbors nearby, but thick trees stood between us and them. Enough trees that you couldn't see another rooftop from the porch. When we pulled up that first evening, my wife smiled at the little house and said the words I will never forget. I'd love to own a house like this someday. It was charming, small but full of character, and it had one feature that stood out immediately: a large basement, packed wall to wall with old storage boxes. At the time, it seemed harmless. We had no idea. My alarm went off at 6 the next morning. The second I silenced it, I reached over, and she wasn't there. My heart dropped. I found her in the kitchen, sitting on a bar stool, coffee in hand, scrolling her phone like it was any normal morning. But she wasn't fine. "Why are you already awake?" I asked. She looked up at me, exhausted, hollow around the eyes. I couldn't sleep. She told me what happened. Sometime in the night, she'd rolled over. And for a moment, she was sure. She saw someone standing in the corner of the bedroom. She blinked, told herself it was too dark to tell, rolled back over. But every time she started to drift off again, she heard a small noise from that same corner, over and over, until she couldn't shake the feeling anymore. The feeling that someone was watching her sleep. By 5 a.m., she gave up, made coffee, and sat in that kitchen until I woke up. She looked exhausted, but more than that, she looked terrified. I felt awful leaving her that morning, but I had work, meetings I couldn't skip. Before I left, I asked if she'd be all right. She nodded, said she'd shower, then head into town. She didn't want to spend one more minute in that house than she had to. She laid her clothes out on the bed, neatly folded, ready for after her shower. I kissed her goodbye, and I left. She told me the rest later. When she stepped out of that shower, something felt wrong. The clothes she had folded, the ones she'd laid out herself minutes earlier, were no longer stacked neatly. They were spread out, half folded, scattered in a messy row across the bed. She stood there, staring, trying to convince herself she'd just remembered it wrong. Then she noticed something worse. Her socks, gone, not moved, not misplaced, gone. She searched the entire room. Nothing. Feeling like she was losing her mind, she grabbed another pair, rushed outside, and called an Uber into town, because I had taken the car. We texted throughout the morning, and something was different. She's normally talkative, full of little updates, jokes, photos. That morning, every message was one word, maybe two. I got out of work early and met her for lunch. She was pale, quiet in a way I wasn't used to. That's when she told me about the clothes, about the socks that had vanished into thin air. I believed her completely. I just had no explanation. With my meetings done for the day, we spent the rest of the afternoon walking through town together. Slowly, she seemed to come back to herself. The color returned to her face. She laughed again. By evening, it felt like whatever happened that morning was behind us. Or so we thought. In the middle of the night, she shook me awake. I hear something. I lay still, listening. Then I heard it too. Footsteps. Slow, deliberate, moving through the house. She was shaking beside me, begging me not to leave the room, but I had to know. I got up, Moved through the house room by room as quietly as I could. Nothing. No one. The only thing out of place was a closet door standing open. I told myself it had simply swung open on its own. I'd seen it happen before in other houses. Old hinges, bad frames. I even convinced myself that the footsteps we heard were just that door creaking open. To be sure, I looked inside. Empty. I went back to the bedroom. "The house is clear," I told her. "We're okay." She didn't believe me. Neither of us slept again that night. The next morning, I went back to work. But my wife refused to stay at that house alone. Not for a second. She came with me into town. At lunch, she asked if we could just leave. Pack up. Go home early. I wished we could. But I had one final meeting the next morning. One I couldn't miss. I offered to book us a hotel for the last night. After everything we'd already spent on the rental, she reluctantly agreed to stay just one more evening. The moment we got back, we packed every single bag, ready to leave the second the sun came up. We ordered pizza, sat in the living room. Neither of us wanted to go anywhere near the bedroom. Instead, we played trivia on my phone, trying to feel normal. But every few minutes, we heard noises coming from the basement. Every single time, my wife froze completely still. I kept telling her it was just an old house settling. She wasn't convinced. Finally, I stood up. "I'll check. One last time, so we know for sure." She begged me not to. I went down anyway. The basement was exactly as we'd found it. Boxes stacked to the ceiling. One single light, a weak, yellow bulb, barely cutting through the dark. I checked every corner. Nothing. Satisfied, I turned toward the stairs. Then, something caught my eye. I looked back. Standing perfectly still, in the far corner of the room, was a man, wearing a red hat. He wasn't moving. He was so still. For one second, I actually thought he was a coat rack, or a mannequin someone had left behind. I stepped closer to look. He blinked. My whole body froze. Then I ran. I sprinted up those stairs 2 at a time. "Get to the car!" I screamed. "Right now!" We had 3 bags. I grabbed 2, threw them out the front door. My wife loaded them into the car while I ran back inside for the last one. I tore into the bedroom, ripped the chargers from the wall, grabbed the final bag, headed for the front door. That's when I saw it. The basement door was open, and the closet door was open too. I didn't stop moving. I took one breath, and I ran straight past both of them. I threw the last bag into the back seat. We jumped in the car, and I drove, as fast as that car would go. While we drove, I called the rental manager, told her, "There is a man inside your house." She argued with me, told me I must be mistaken. I don't even know if she ever went to check. I was so angry, I just hung up. We made it out safely. That much I'm grateful for. But safe doesn't mean it wasn't real. That man was inside that house with us the entire weekend. I'm convinced now. My wife really did see someone standing in our bedroom that first night. It was probably the same man I found in the basement. And to this day, I still don't know why he was there, or how long he'd been there before we ever arrived. The only thing I know for certain is that my wife's socks were never found. I could have pushed the investigation further, called the police, gone back, demanded answers. But honestly, I just wanted to forget it ever happened. A private rental, tucked away in the trees, sounds peaceful when you book it. But after that weekend, I'll stick to hotels from now on. Sure, hotels can be creepy too, but at least there, you expect other people to be around. People who, hopefully, aren't standing silently in the corner of your room, watching you sleep.